Okay, so hi, my name is Amanda Rossi. I am originally from New York and I currently live and teach in Costa Rica. And I feel extremely excited for this opportunity and to help Puerto Rico. So please donate to ELT for Puerto Rico. So today I'm going to be talking about intuition and what role it has in our classrooms. Just to start, I want to talk about what is intuition and what it's not. So intuition is the ability to understand something immediately without the need for conscious reasoning. That's by the Oxford Dictionary. So we're going to be talking about that. It's a feminine approach to knowing, which is a non-traditional approach. And what I mean by feminine is that it's usually a visceral experience. And it doesn't have any scientific grounding. It's just something that we might feel. A lot of times people define intuition as a hunch or a gut feeling or an attraction to something. And so we're going to be looking at that in this next couple of minutes. But first, I want to start out by saying what intuition is not. So intuition is not predicting about the future. It is not about manipulating the future, and it's definitely not about black magic. So we're going to be looking at intuition in the classroom. Okay, so one of the things about intuition is that usually intuition has a call for a higher purpose. And so that's why I think that teachers are extremely intuitive, because usually we're called to this profession, and we're definitely not in it for the money. We're here because we have a need to give back to our communities, and we're there because we love it, and we're there because we want to make an impact. So as an intuitive teacher, we make decisions all the time. And these decisions are based on prior knowledge, past experiences, but most importantly, they could also be based on our intuition. So we make all of these decisions there on the moment, and we need to know where they come from. How do we tap into them more easily and more frequently? And so that's what we're going to be talking about. So one of the things that I have been thinking about lately is, that we use this a lot. We use our intuitive abilities a lot for formative assessment. So what I mean by formative assessment is that we're in the classroom and we're thinking, my goodness, something's going on here and I want to check in with my students. So I start maybe listening into what they're saying, or I ask some questions and get responses. And this is really important. That feeling like you need to check in because you feel like something is off, I feel like that's your intuition speaking to you. And I hope that more and more people will start tapping into that and trusting it. We also have this ability as teachers to read the energy in the classroom. And I think that that's also our intuitive ability speaking to us. We see when our students are tired. We see and we can feel when our students are bored. And I think that those energies in the classroom are really important for us, because that's how we sense things, because intuition can also be sensorial, right? And we make changes right there on the spot. Okay, you guys, let's get up, let's move, let's do something different. And we also, I think this is really important because learning is emotionally bound. And so if our students are not in the right frame of mind, then they're not going to learn. And that's the truth. So I think that we need to start tapping into our intuition in order to be more in tune with the energies in our classroom. I also want to talk about not only the teacher being an intuitive being, but also our students being intuitive. And I've been reading a lot about how students their learning styles are indicative of their intuition. So for example, the student that gets up and wants to move a lot, and they're kinesthetic and they're tactile, that's their intuition speaking to them and telling them, this is how you learn. this is what we do. The students that have to repeat things after you, that is their intuition. And I think that we also need to foster more spaces for students to follow their intuition. And so what I feel like what's happening is that a lot of times we suppress our intuitive ways, and then in the classroom, if we're not giving these students the opportunities to follow their instincts, then we're also suppressing their intuition. I think that this is something that we can work on. I think that this is something that is something that we can increase. So for example, I want to give a little example of my own personal life. I grew up in the United States. My father is someone who loves to drive, and as kids, we always went on little road trips. And my father created in us this ability to measure. So in the United States, it would be miles. And so every time we got in the car, my father would ask us, for example, how far away do you think this is? How long is it going to take us? How many miles? And so I feel like my father developed our intuitive abilities for spatial intelligence. So it's really funny because we did this constantly as children, and now I feel like I have this really great spatial awareness, a spatial intelligence. I have been able to measure things just at a glance, figuring out how far away things are, telling people, giving people really precise directions about, oh, this is a mile away, this is 2 miles away. When I run, I'm always able to clock how far I've gone. And I think a lot of that has to do with my father developing our spatial intelligence, which is also our spatial intuition. So I think that these are things that we can these tools that we can give our students in the classroom. Okay. So what do we need to do in order to become more intuitive? I think that as teachers, we need to create more spaces for silence. Our world is so loud and so busy that we're unable to hear our intuition or feel our intuition. And I also think that because this is a feminine way of knowing, that it has also been overlooked, underestimated, undervalued. And so we don't really believe in it. And I think that in order to recover and to develop our intuition, we need to create space in our lives of silence. So some of the ways that we can do this are driving. Turn off the radio. When you're taking the bus, don't listen to music on your phone. Don't check Facebook. Give yourself 5 or 10 minutes a day where you can just have silence. And I know that that's really hard. I'm the mom of 2 small children, but finding a space for silence is the way that our intuition can start to resurface. And I think that you can, in this moment, you could start doing some mindfulness practices, maybe some breathing techniques, or I'm just trying to think of things that you could do that don't require any sort of materials. So breathing techniques, listening, just being in your body, understanding what's going on in your body. A little practice that I have that takes maybe not even 30 seconds in the morning is before I get out of bed, I do what I call a body scan, and I check in with my body. What hurts? Do I still feel tired? And I feel like having that connection with my body helps me for when my intuition is talking to me. I usually feel it in somewhere in my body. So creating space, creating little mindfulness routines, I think that those are ways for our intuition to surface and to talk to us. Another way to get in touch with our intuition is to journal. And these journals do not have to be sophisticated. They could just be stream of thought. I think it's really important that we are asking ourselves questions, planting questions within ourselves, and then letting ourselves explore it via stream of consciousness writing. It's something that's really important, and I found that in my workshops on intuitive practices, that this has actually been more productive than I had originally thought it would be. I found that people who thought of a problem, or not, you don't always have to have problems, but like, what am I going to teach, or how am I going to teach this, or what's really important to me right now in my classroom? And they sat down and we did some stream of consciousness writing, and I would say a good percentage of them, maybe like 60 to 70%, said that they felt like they had come to some sort of solution or idea, and that was very satisfying for them. So please don't underestimate journaling. At the moment, as a mom, I don't have a lot of time, and so sometimes I do voice journaling where I just record myself, my ideas, and just keep talking them out, in order to come to some sort of solution. And this is your subconscious talking to you. And that's really where your intuitive abilities come from. That's where they are, that's their home base, is your subconscious. Another way that we can develop our intuitive abilities is through using tarot cards. Now, you don't have to use tarot cards that a fortune teller would use, but anything that has some sort of archaic symbolism. Carl Jung, the Swiss psychiatrist, said that these cards are super important because these archetypes speak to our subconscious. So using some sort of a card or image that has a lot of symbolism behind it, that's really important. Looking at it and seeing how it speaks to you, right? This is not about anyone telling you about the card. This is you interacting with the card and finding out what that symbolism means to you in your life. In my practices, I found that this has been really helpful for the teachers in figuring out different dynamics in their classroom. So please look into that. I know that Amazon has a lot of different kinds of cards. You could get blessings cards. If you're religious, you could also look up different types of religious cards according to your religious beliefs. I know that there are Christian cards. Also, anything that has...
Oh, we're ready, Amanda.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's
Thank
been
you.
a very nice presentation. I loved it.